Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. This video is all about adding detail to my model tree. I show you how I shape the foot of the tree and how I paint it. I show you how I insert tiny small branches in the tree to resemble dead branches. I show you how full of detail the green branches are and how I made the top of the tree. So let's go to work. Over to the workbench. In my last video, the tree I built didn't have a decent foot. And I thought, well, who needs a foot? It disappears in the scatter on the forest soil anyway. But then I looked at this picture again. And well, if you feel the urge to model it, then there's no stopping it. So I went to work. First, I superglue 3 or 4 small pieces of leftover wire to the tree. This enforces the foot, but it also makes the tree stand much more sturdy. Then I start applying a modeling paste over the foot. I do this with a coarse brush, so automatically I get a ribbed surface. I shape it until I'm happy. When the trunk has dried, it's time for some paint. I used a mixture of grey and burnt umber. The rest of the color comes from pastel chalks. I scrape a fine powder off the chalks using a hobby knife and apply it with a soft brush. I use mostly earth tones, but also a lot of green. And I keep doing this until I'm happy. As you see on my workplace, tree making is a messy business. And here's the result. Well, that looks rather tree-like to me. Now for some branches. I start by drilling holes with an 0.8mm drill. I drill right through the trunk, which gives me place for 2 branches opposite the trunk. I drill the holes in such a way that the branches are never directly above each other. For the dead stubble on the tree, I use these very fine roots of raspberry bushes from our vegetable garden. The detail on these branches is awesome. I put them in the holes with some superglue. Now this is a tree that will stand in the middle of a forest, so only the top is green. The rest of the trunk only has dead branches on it. Now that we are getting closer to the top, it's time to add some green branches. You've seen me do this in the previous videos. I twist wires of about 20 to 25 centimeters in such a way that I create 3 loops and 2 dead ends. I start with a bigger loop and try to get the next 2 a little bit smaller. Before cutting the loops, I superglue the twisted parts. This prevents branches to fall off when I cut the loops. Now I cut the loops and form branches. They've all got 7 ends. You see me using pliers to manipulate the wires. This prevents my fingers from bleeding. The wires are quite sharp. Notice how I form them in such a way that they form sort of a roof shape. So I try to form a sort of dominant branch that forms the ridge, and the rest of the branches hangs down from that. Then I apply static grass over that. I use 12mm grass fibers. As you can see, I make batches of about 50 pieces at a time. That'll last for a few trees. Then the green stuff. For this I use a mixture of Woodland Scenics fine turf and static grass fibers with a length of 2mm. I mix them in 50% each. Some scenic cement over the branches and the green stuff over that. The detail in this never ceases to amaze me. Isn't that stunning? Now for the top of the tree. Since the trunks are tapered to the end, there is no place for a lot of branches there. So I make sort of a mini tree that I place on top of the tree. This involves twisting a wire armature, again, covering it with modeling paste, sprinkling static grass over it, painting it, and sprinkling over my green mixture. In the end, it's all worth it. It truly is a crown on the tree. After placing it on the top, I work on the transition with a bit of modeling paste and some paint. Done! If you like this video, please like and subscribe. There's a lot more to come in the coming weeks. This includes more tree making, scenery, scratch building a boiler house, painting a backdrop, and when the experimental diorama is done, I start working on the royal shelf layout. So stay tuned and thank you for watching.